Every campfire has a story. Some are funny, some are spooky, and some are warnings. What you're about to hear isn't just another tale told in the dark. This is what really happened to me. 3 nights in the woods, 1 monster, and a truth I'll never forget. So if you're sitting by the fire right now, lean in close, because this isn't just another campfire story. This one's mine. I used to think camping was boring. Trees, bugs, silence. What was the point? But now, I'd give anything to go back to that kind of boring. It started 3 days ago. Dad and I had driven up to Black Hollow Ridge, this stretch of wilderness in the Sierra Nevadas. He called it a bonding trip. I called it Dad trying too hard since Mom left. But I didn't complain. We hadn't done anything together since the divorce, and he seemed desperate. The first night was normal. Crackling fire, half-burnt hot dogs, stars like diamonds. The second night, that's when everything changed. We heard something in the woods, not the usual rustle of deer or raccoons. This was heavier, measured, like it had a purpose. Dad went to check it out with his flashlight. I stayed by the fire, watching his beam vanish between the pines. He didn't come back. Not right away, at least. When he finally returned, his face was pale, and his voice was off, like someone trying to sound like him, but missing the rhythm. Too calm, too smooth. He smiled too much, blinked too little. I kept asking what happened. He said, "Just a raccoon," but he wouldn't look me in the eyes. That night, I didn't sleep. By morning, I noticed the skin on his neck was shifting, like it wasn't sure what it was supposed to look like. For a second, I saw a shimmer, like heat rising off pavement. Then, green scales, just a flash. Gone. I ran. Now I'm 3 miles from camp, hiding in a ranger's cabin that smells like mold and regret. And I'm writing this because I need to remember who I am and what I have to do. My name is Liam Suarez. I'm 16, and something wearing my father's skin is hunting me. But I'm going to hunt it first. I didn't have a weapon, just a pocket knife, a half-dead phone with no signal, and the ranger's cabin map tacked to the wall. I traced the route back to camp with my finger, heart thudding like a war drum. It would be looking for me by now, the thing pretending to be my dad. I wasn't going back to reason with it. I was going back to end it. I grabbed an old hatchet from a rusted emergency box, wiped off the cobwebs, and stuffed a flare into my jacket. I don't know why. Felt like I'd need fire. The woods felt different as I moved through them. Too quiet. No bird song. No snapping twigs. Just this weird low hum in the air, like something barely out of hearing. I crept down the trail, every shadow twitching in my periphery. Then I heard it, my dad's voice. "Liam, son, where are you? We need to go home." It was too perfect, every syllable exactly how he used to say it. Not like last night, when he talked like a bad actor. This time, he sounded like him. That was worse. I crouched behind a boulder and watched. There he was, kneeling by the fire pit we'd built, face buried in his hands, shoulders shaking, sobbing. "Please, buddy, I don't know what's happening to me." And for a second, I almost believed it, until he looked up. His eyes were the giveaway. Not brown anymore, no whites, just a kaleidoscope of colors, swirling like oil on water. And his skin rippled again, shimmering green, then tan, then something with feathers, then back to Dad. I stepped out from behind the rock. "I know you're not him." The thing froze. Its head twitched like a lizard scanning for prey. Then it stood. The sobs stopped. It smiled that wrong smile again. "I was hoping we could avoid this," it said. and its voice shifted mid-sentence, a chorus of sounds underneath, like it hadn't decided which voice to use. I lifted the hatchet. My hands were shaking, but my stance was solid. Where is he? Still here, somewhere, it said, tapping its skull. He's strong, fought back harder than most. I lunged. The hatchet struck its arm, but the skin split and slid away like liquid glass, reshaping instantly. It hissed and knocked me down with a single inhuman swipe. I rolled, came up bloody but alive. You can't win, Liam, it whispered, now standing over me. But you can join him. You don't have to be alone anymore. I fumbled for the flare, pulled the cap, scratched it to life, a burst of red fire. The thing shrieked and flinched away, skin convulsing in a cascade of colors. Smoke hissed off its body where the light touched it. So light hurts it. Good to know. I didn't wait. I ran into the woods, flare in one hand, hatchet in the other, breath ragged in my lungs. I wasn't just going to survive this. I was going to find a way to burn that thing out of my dad's body, even if it killed me. I ran until the trees blurred, my legs screaming, my lungs on fire. When I finally stopped, I was deep in a ravine, choked with fallen logs and thorn brush. The flare was dying, just a red ember now. I shoved it into the mud to keep it burning a little longer, then pulled out the ranger's map, lit by its dying glow. There was a spot about half a mile north, Miller's Drop, a cliffside overlook with a sheer edge and a fire watch platform built into the rocks. It gave me an idea. If I couldn't beat the thing head on, I'd outsmart it. I made my way there under cover of darkness, keeping low, staying quiet. Every few minutes I'd hear it, branches snapping in the wrong rhythm, or my dad's voice calling from too far, too fast. It was toying with me now. When I got to the overlook, I worked fast. I found an old ranger supply box near the fire watch platform. Inside, 2 flares, rope, a busted propane lantern, jackpot. I set the trap on instinct, like I'd done this 100 times in games, but never in real life. I looped the rope around a thick tree trunk, tied the other end to a metal support beam on the edge of the cliff. I soaked the platform in lantern fuel, doused a trail leading into it, and made a pile of dry pine needles at the center. A perfect ignition point. I'd be the bait, lure it in. When it stepped onto the soaked wood, light it up. And if that didn't work, the drop was 200 feet straight down into rocks. I crouched behind a thicket, flare ready, waiting. The forest was holding its breath. Then, like a knife through velvet, "I'm proud of you, son." He walked out of the trees like he belonged to them, calm, confident, like a shadow wearing my dad's skin. Except now, it didn't even try to hide. Scales flickered across its face. Its jaw unhinged just a little too wide when it smiled. "You're smarter than most," it said. "But this ends now." "Yeah," I said, standing up, backing toward the platform. "It does." It followed, step by step, onto the fuel-soaked wood. "Where's my dad?" I asked, fingers tight around the flare cap. It grinned. "Closer than you think." I lit the flare. The fire leapt across the trail like a living thing. Flames engulfed the platform instantly, orange and red tearing through the dark. The thing screamed, a high-pitched shriek that split the trees, clawing at its body as the fire danced over it. I saw the skin writhe, break, and change, eyes becoming slits, then orbs, then something insectoid. Its whole form glitched, like it couldn't decide what to be. Then, the platform collapsed. It plummeted into the dark, trailing smoke and sparks, vanishing into the abyss. Silence. I stood there, flare still burning, breathing smoke, and disbelief. "Dad," I whispered. No answer. But somewhere down there, buried in the wreckage, or maybe still alive inside that thing. He might be waiting, and I wasn't done yet. They found us at sunrise, me and Dad, bruised, burned, but breathing. The rangers said it was a gas explosion, an accident, something they could explain on paper. But I know what I saw, what I fought, what I burned. And even now, some nights, I hear his voice again, whispering from the trees. So if you ever find yourself alone in the woods, and you hear someone calling your name,